Ray Fittipaldo joins us now, Steelers insider from the Post-Gazette, and he's brought to us by Western PA injury attorneys of LGKG. Build on relationships, credibility, and integrity, lgkg.com. Ray, it's over. No more camp. I guess you're probably happy because you were driving up two ways, right? You were driving there, and then you were coming home, and you weren't staying out there, right?
Yeah, well, first off, Adam, when you said it's over, I thought you were talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation, which I also hope is over soon as well. But, yeah, I'm happy. Camp is over. We got the big joint scrimmage with the Bills tomorrow, so no more driving for me. At least not that far.
Right. Is that scrimmage tomorrow? That's closed, right? But you'll be able to.
Yeah,
you'll be able to go, right?
It's closed to the public, but my understanding is, it's going to be like a COVID practice for the media. I think we can kind of like roam around the stadium and watch practice. Not exactly sure what we're going to be able to report just yet. Those details haven't been ironed out yet between the Bills and the Steelers, but media will be able to watch it.
So from everything that you've gathered from what 2.5 weeks of training camp, and now there's going to be a joint practice. They're going to see, some live action against different team in a practice setting. What drill are you going to be focusing on the most, knowing what you know now about each position for the Steelers and wanting to see them go against the Bills in a different drill?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say two. I want to see the quarterbacks go against different defensive backs because I think, both parties kind of get a feel for each other. So, Justin Fields and, Russ Wilson has been ramping up his activities, so it'll be good to see him go against another opponent. And it's a shame that Troy Fautanu is injured, but I still want to watch Broderick Jones and Dan Moore against the Bills edge rushers. And the interior, too. Nate Herbig and Zach Frazier are battling it out. So, that'll be good competition when they go one-on-ones, O-line, D-line.
I know what your colleague Jerry Dulac reported the other day, and we discussed it at length yesterday. Do you really think it's a battle at left tackle between Dan Moore and Broderick Jones?
Well, I kind of think they just want to, much like they've been doing, I think they want to give some deference to Dan Moore because he's been, he's been a 3-year starter, and he stepped up for them when he was a rookie, and, he's been a guy that they've leaned on. So I think it was going to play out before the season started that Broderick would have won that job. I got to be honest with you now, I don't know how this injury plays into their plans there. Now Broderick has to play on the right side, I'm assuming that. I don't think they're going to give Broderick reps on the left side as long as Troy is out. So Broderick always tells me that he doesn't need much time. It's a natural thing for him. But, you would think they would want to get him in there and settled at left tackle for at least 2 weeks before they throw him out there in a regular season game. So we'll see how that goes. I'm assuming today at St. Vincent it's pretty much going to be a walkthrough. So, I don't know how much work Broderick would get on the left or the right. But I am interested to see on Saturday and then next week before the Lions game, do they flop Broderick? Do they give him some reps on the left side, or do they just leave him on the right side when Troy is out?
Ray, is Roman Wilson back practicing this week? And if he isn't, or he's in a limited capacity, is that concerning?
He was in street clothes on Monday. I haven't really seen him do much. He's probably rehabbing up inside and, not on the field. So I don't exactly know where he is right now, but, if he's not out there for that last preseason game, Doran, it's going to be hard for him to get a helmet on Sundays, I think. It's one thing for a vet to miss time like Cordero Patterson did, and, now they're working him back in. He's got familiarity with Arthur Smith and his offense. It's quite another for a rookie receiver to miss that much time and then to come back and to have a role initially with his team. So still think they have high hopes for Roman, but I think this injury definitely set him back a bit.
Ray Fittipaldo with us here on the Fan Morning Show, our Steelers insider from the Post-Gazette. Ray, a two-parter here. A, do you think Brandon Aiyuk just winds up being a 49er? And if the answer to question A is yes, do you think then the Steelers enter the season just status quo with the wide receiver unit they have?
Yes, I think they would. I know people want to tie them to different receivers who have contract situations. But I think this Aiyuk one was the one that was most likely to happen really since March. And if it doesn't happen now, I think they probably would be content to go into the season with the guys they have. To me, guys, the Steelers have had their offer on the table. They're very comfortable with it, and they're just waiting on the 49ers. It's a holding pattern for the Steelers. I know there was a new report yesterday that the 49ers and Aiyuk were close. To me, that's a very strange way for the 49ers eventually to get to that number. Basically, piss them off for 6 months and then cave at the last minute. I don't know what that's all about, but that would come out of left field. That would surprise me. I still think the Steelers are obviously the favorites here. But, if it turns out the 49ers get him, that is John Lynch. That's a very, very strange ploy for him to do.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of Catholic grade school when instead of being able to walk into the classroom across the hall, just point A to point B, you would have to walk all the way around the walls of the hall. You would have to walk 700 feet to walk 5 feet. That's how that would feel for John Lynch. Okay, you say you still think the Steelers are the favorite. Let's say it doesn't happen, and you've said that it's basically your pot committed to Aiyuk or nothing. If you don't get Aiyuk, how do you then evaluate Omar Khan's offseason, missing out on this guy that you've been targeting for so long?
Yeah, I know people are going to point to that Deontay Johnson trade and say, hey, why did you get rid of a guy who can help you? But I just don't feel like they believe that they could have Deontay Johnson and George Pickens on the same team. Two guys who, caused some issues last year. I really think that play in Cincinnati was kind of like the final straw for a lot of people inside that building when he quit on that play. So they didn't feel like they can go forward with him. They got a starting corner in return, and they just wanted to turn the page there. So, they did get Roman Wilson in the third round. It's not exactly starter territory, so I'm sure he would be criticized. But listen, if Arthur Smith gets off to a good start and he can make it work with Pat Freiermuth and Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller and Calvin Austin, a lot of people will forget about it. But if it goes the other way, then sure, he's going to get his share of criticism.
Will Zach Frazier start Saturday?
Based on what I've seen, no, Doran. Nate Herbig is still out there with the ones in most of the team periods. Zach is working in here and there. I do think you could see a situation where, Zach would get thrown into the mix again. Like if Justin plays, we still don't know about Russ, but let's say Justin plays 4 series instead of 3 this week, I think maybe you could see 2 and 2 with Herbig and with Frazier. But based on what I've seen, they're not pushing Herbig aside just yet.
And just how much are they pushing Russ towards being the guy, you think?
I don't know. I don't know why it's such a big mystery. You would think they would be able to tell us, if he's going to start or not. It's kind of the same with in terms of the reps. It's kind of the same. It's Russ for 2, Justin for 2. They're kind of going back and forth there. He's still not full go. What I consider full go is Russ runs all the reps with the 1s. Justin does all the reps with the 2s. We have yet to see that. So I'm not really confident that Russ is going to start on Saturday, but we'll see. I think Mike is going to tell us today or tomorrow.
Ray, we appreciate your time, your reporting as always. Enjoy your final day at Latrobe until next year.
All right, guys. See you next week.